Case file number 3, the puzzle of human bones. On a scorching hot Tuesday in July, I walked from home to the office, drenched in sweat. Not even 8 o'clock yet. I sat in front of my computer, organizing case files from recent days. Dr. Kwong pushed the door open. "Tio Lu, starting work early, huh?" "The weather outside is stifling. Better to start early while it's still cool." I stood up to greet Dr. Kwong. "Why are you here early today, too?" Dr. Kwong turned to pour a cup of tea, emitting a steamy heat. "Tio Loi from Sungsan Police Station called me early this morning, saying they found a bone fragment on the mountain and asked us to come take a look. I'll call Li Tran to come along. Take this opportunity to see if she's truly capable of forensic work or not." Dr. Kwong smiled. "I'll assign you the task of overseeing her." I wasn't surprised that our agency had another forensic doctor. Since Dr. True left, we had all felt the lack of manpower, and the workload was overwhelming. But it was unexpected that the leadership would arrange for us a female forensic doctor. Although they say men and women working together never tire, women still face many inconveniences in this profession. I grabbed the forensic kit and stepped out of the equipment room just as Li Tran and Dr. Kwong approached. She had short hair just above her shoulders, a sunny face, and a lively demeanor. "Lu, let me carry that!" Before I could say anything, Li Tran had already snatched the box from my hand. "Oh, it's so heavy!" The heavy box slipped straight to the ground as Li Tran pouted, looking pitiful. I picked up the box and walked out, muttering vaguely, "Some tasks aren't suitable for women." I heard a humph from behind. As we stepped out of the office, we saw the forensic technician checking Vung Men's and intern Vung Oin's Vung Ma marks from the police academy already waiting in the car. As soon as the door closed, the car sped off, making my back feel like it was glued to the seat. There was a clattering noise from the trunk. Dr. Kwong frowned. "Don't rush, safety comes first." Vung Man smirked. "Sungsan isn't that close. We won't arrive until noon." "What's in the trunk?" I remembered the strange sound from the trunk. "It's confidential for now. You'll find out when the time comes." Vung Man chuckled mischievously. Sungsan was quite familiar to me. When I was a child, I often went to the mountains to play, and I called this place Trungsan. It was the tallest mountain in the area, covering a large area, and tourism had flourished in recent years. When I was young, I heard my grandfather say that during the anti-Japanese resistance, the 8th Route Army had dug a hiding tunnel in the mountain. When the enemy came to sweep, the villagers would lead livestock and hide food in the tunnel. After a long drive on the mountain road, we finally arrived at Sungsan Police Station. Technician Loi Tan Min warmly welcomed us. "Finally, you're here. Captain Lee is waiting for you." Captain Lee, thin but agile, greeted us warmly, shaking hands with each of us. "I've asked the kitchen to prepare some food. Let's have lunch before we head to the crime scene." "Are these two beautiful ladies here?" Captain Lee exclaimed when he saw Li Tran and Vung Oin. "This is our new forensic doctor Li Tran from our technical department, and little Vung, an intern from the police academy," Dr. Kwong introduced. "This is Captain Lai from Sungsan Police Station." "Hello, sir." Li Tran and Vung Oin smiled, revealing their sparkling white teeth. "Come this way, please. Let's go to the office to rest. We can have tea and chat." Captain Lee enthusiastically invited us into the office. Loi Thang Min poured tea and brought out a plate of lychees. "Please, try our homegrown lychees. They're very sweet." As he spoke, he used a knife to halve the lychees, emitting a fragrant aroma. I couldn't resist and took a lychee into my mouth. Those lychees were truly delicious, bringing back memories of childhood. Loi Thang Min took out a notebook. "While eating, let me give you a summary report of the case. Looks like we've got an audience eagerly listening to our conversation." Li Tran winked, taking a bite of a lychee. Everyone was surprised and burst into laughter. In my heart, I felt a hint of disdain. In such a serious workplace, the remarks of this 90s-born female forensic doctor seemed too casual. Loi Than Min summarized the situation for us. "Last night at 7 o'clock, Chow Sam Kwa called 110 to report to the police, stating that while he and his girlfriend were being intimate on a deserted grassy field in the Sungsan scenic area, his girlfriend suddenly fainted. Chow Sam Kwa followed his girlfriend's pointing direction and saw not far away a dark green light flickering. Both of them were terrified and didn't care what the light was, immediately running down the mountain. As they passed the gate of the scenic area, the security guard on duty noticed that they looked confused, so he stepped forward to intercept and ask. After understanding the situation, the guard asked Chao Samqua to lead the way back for inspection. The reflected light had disappeared, but a bone fragment was found not far from the hiding cave. The guard didn't dare to be careless and quickly asked Chao Samqua to report to the police. Loi Than Min said, "I went to the scene yesterday to assess it and arranged for Assistant Tu Dien and the scenic area security staff to guard the scene. After lunch, we'll go take a look." The lunch was simple, but the fresh vegetables were delicious, making everyone delighted. After the meal, we followed Loi Than Min to the Sung San scenic area and walked to the location where the bone was found. The bone fragment is over there. When Loi Than Min pointed into the air, I saw the familiar cave with 2 guards stationed there. Putting on gloves, I picked up the bone fragment from the ground for examination. "Beautiful forensic doctor, come check this bone fragment." I handed it to Li Tran. Li Tran was stunned for a moment, seeming unfamiliar with the title, Beautiful Forensic Doctor. Li Tran's appearance couldn't be denied, but whether she was suitable for the forensic profession remained to be seen. She raised her head and said, "This is too simple. It's a long bone." "Go on." I didn't even bother to look up. "Perhaps it's a femur." "What else?" "There are 2 holes on the bone. Seems like it has been bitten by a dog. And furthermore, this person was relatively tall." "How tall?" "How would I know? Just from a bone, to determine the height would indeed be miraculous." I chuckled. "Every genuine forensic doctor can do it." Li Tran seemed a bit annoyed. "Brother, I'm new here. Does anyone try to make things difficult like you do? If you don't know, you can learn." I understood. This lady had average abilities and a hot temper. I decided I would give her a lesson later. Honestly, she could identify this as a femur and infer the person's height from the bone, which showed basic knowledge. Detecting 2 puncture holes on the bone suggested the person had been bitten by a dog, indicating reasonable inference and observation skills. Back when I started, I underwent similar tests from seniors. Luckily, I studied forensic medicine, so my performance wasn't too awkward. I saw Dr. Kung nodding, seemingly quite satisfied with Li Tran's performance. There were indeed 2 puncture holes on this bone. Besides human factors, it's possible they were caused by dog fangs or other wild animals. We arrived at the cave entrance. As we went deeper, the path ended. A large gate stood in front with a big lock on it. Beyond the gate, it was pitch black inside the cave. "There's another bone inside," Li Tran suddenly exclaimed. I peered into the darkness, but saw nothing. "If you don't believe it, use your flashlight." Li Tran grinned, looking confident and pleased. Vung Mun turned on his survey flashlight and illuminated inside, confirming a bone fragment about 10 meters from the cave. Everyone seemed slightly astonished. "Hayes, it's natural good eyesight. No other explanation," Li Tran proudly declared. Everyone fell silent, but I secretly thought humans have 2 types of visual cells, rod cells and cone cells, determining daytime and nighttime visual abilities, respectively. There's a disease called night blindness, caused by a lack of cone cells, leading to severely reduced vision at night or in low light conditions. Li Tran's observation skills in darkness seemed a bit exaggerated, as if latent talent wasn't enough. I asked the staff at the scenic area. They said this gate has been locked since the scenic spot was built last year to prevent tourists from entering and causing accidents. Loi Than Min, standing beside, mentioned. Dr. Kung frowned. "Looks like we have to go inside and investigate further." After the scenic area security staff opened the lock on the gate, he refused to lead us. "I dare not go in. Who knows if there are ghosts or demons? Moreover, I don't know the way inside." "Let's follow me. I've been to this cave many times when I was young," I said, feeling everyone's surprised gaze on me. A moment later, we passed through the iron gate into the cave. From the bright sunlight outside to the cool air inside, our body hair suddenly stood on end. The 6 of us lined up. I led the way at the front, followed closely by Loi Than Min and Vung Mun, then Li Tran and Vung Ong, with Dr. Hung at the rear. Initially, we could still see the path, with rock walls surrounding us and many scattered rocks underfoot. After a dozen more steps, darkness covered everything in front of us. When we turned on our flashlights simultaneously, the cave was illuminated as if it were daytime. Vung Mun had brought 3 survey flashlights and 4 specialized flashlights. We reached the bone fragment that Li Tran had discovered, which was shorter than the one outside the cave. Dr. Kung said to Vung On, "Let's number the signs. The one outside the cave is bone number 1, and this one here is bone number 2. You're responsible for taking notes and sketching the scene." Vung On nodded. Based on my memory, I led everyone slowly through the cave and stopped at a 3-way intersection. This position was slightly different from what I remembered. The path ahead and to the right were clear, but the left path was blocked by many boulders. After some consideration, we decided to go straight ahead first, then come back to check the right side later. The air was thick with the smell of feces and urine, probably the waste of some animals. "Watch your step, just a little mistake, and you'll step on some dung here," I joked to lighten the tense atmosphere. Li Tran suddenly exhaled a sentence that made everyone burst into laughter. "If you win the lottery, it'll be the first lucky event for Mr. Lu up front." Suddenly, a strange sound echoed in front, followed by a dark object rushing towards us. Vung Ong screamed in fear, and I was startled too. We waited until we could see clearly the black group before our anxiety subsided. "Don't be afraid, those are bats," Loitan Min said. "Surely, our commotion just now disturbed them." The bats screeched as they flew over our heads and out of the cave. After being startled for a while, our pace slowed down considerably. Each step was cautious, observing all around and the ground. The rocks under our feet gradually increased, making the path more difficult to traverse. Suddenly, another strange sound emerged. I turned on the survey flashlight in my hand and saw 5 or 6 flickering lights ahead, shimmering in the darkness. "That's Siberian glowworms," Lytron exclaimed. "I didn't expect there to be a glowworm family living in the hiding cave. They look so cute." She barely finished her sentence when the lights quickly moved away into the distance. Our flashlights swept over their golden fur and long tails, disappearing into the darkness in the blink of an eye. I recognized them as Siberian glowworms. Not bad at all, you recognize the glowworm. It's not easy for a city kid. I'm quite knowledgeable, you know. A dozen meters further, we arrived at an empty place, like a hidden chamber, with some faint traces of smoke on the walls. "What's that over there?" Vung Mun shouted from behind, his flashlight sweeping across the ground to illuminate a brownish-yellow object. Upon closer inspection, it was another bone fragment similar to the long bone discovered earlier. "There's another one over there." Li Tran pointed to a corner, and I turned around to see several scattered bone pieces. Dr. Kung said, "It seems bone number 1 came from this cave." Everyone searched meticulously, trying to determine how many bones were in this cave once and for all. We continued our search inside the cave. Every time a bone fragment was found, Vung On numbered it, then recorded the discovery location. We collected all the found bone fragments and gradually brought them out of the cave. We spent an entire afternoon in the cave, exploring every nook and cranny. The sky outside gradually darkened, and finally, we completed the search. Seeing me diligently arranging the bones in my hands, Li Tran approached and asked, "Mr. Liu, does it usually take a lot of time for completely decomposed bodies to turn into white bones like this?" "At least over a year, depending on the environmental conditions, temperature, and humidity," I said. "Since I started this job, I've encountered countless bodies, but very few cases where the body completely decomposed into bones like this. How many bone fragments did you find?" Dr. Kung asked Vung Oing. "I've numbered them, and there are a total of 630 fragments," Vung Wan replied seriously. "Li Trang, analyze how many people these bones belong to." This time it was Dr. Kung posing the question. "It's very clear that they're from 3 people. Aren't there 3 skulls?" It was easy to see that Li Trang didn't think this was a difficult question. "Tio Lu, what do you say?" I knew Dr. Kung wanted me to teach Li Trang a lesson. "It makes sense. Your method is very simple and straightforward. 1 skull per person." I saw Li Trang smirk.